Welcome to TTalk, where Tulane athletes get to talk about their experiences at Tulane and beyond the field. Today, our special guest is Mr. James McKinley. He was a defensive back for Tulane back in the 80s. He had the opportunity to play in, was it the Independence Bowl?
Yeah, yeah.
Yep, and caught a couple of interceptions in the Independence Bowl and got his name to stick around on some records. So
Yes,
we're
ma'am.
real excited to have him here today. So welcome, James.
Thank you, Carmen. My pleasure. Thank you.
So good. So we really just want to get right into it, James. What was it like growing up as little James? Where are you
Oh,
from?
wow. Wow. Well, I'm from the Southside of Chicago.
Okay.
Single mom. I had two older brothers, older sister, little sister, and it was fun. It was fun, challenging. Had some wonderful people in my life coming through. Went to CVS High School, Chicago
Okay.
Vocational. Famous for Dick Buckus, Juwan Howard, Bernie Mac went there. So,
Wow.
a lot of, you get a lot of guys come out of that school. It was back then, it was a powerhouse high school. And I think right now they're looking to shut it down because of funding, something
So
unfortunate.
what was some of your experiences in high school? Did you play sports early? When did you really get into it? And what was it like playing sports in Chicago at that time?
Yeah, yeah, good question, good question. I fell in love three times, and I'll talk about those. First time I fell in love was with my skateboard.
Okay.
And I still ride my skateboard today when I go to the
Wow.
park and work out. The second time I fell in love was with football, watching Walter Payton and Chicago Bears do their thing on Sunday. And I said, I want to be just like Peyton.
So did you have the opportunity to go to games actually?
I never went to a Chicago Bears game. I did see CVS play St. Rita in the Chicago State Championship in Soldier Field. And the reason why I never went to it because it was so cold. It was painful. So I didn't play tackle football until my junior year in high school. I didn't put
Oh,
pads on
wow.
until my junior year
What
in
were
high
you
school.
doing before then? What was
Figuring
fun
out
at school? What was fun at school?
because it was a vocational school. I was a machine shop major,
Okay.
and you jumped around from trades to trade.
Right.
And school was, I think we had 4,000 students there.
Wow.
Yeah, CBS it was at an old um, kind of airfield, airline hangar. So we had an aviation class there, obviously, and there was a lot to do. And just trying to stay out of trouble, trying to stay out of trouble.
How did that work out?
It worked out pretty good. I'm still here.
So I kind of remember as you came to school, you were like really muscular. When did you get into working out and taking that super serious?
Yeah, yeah. Like I mentioned, we had some good people in our family. My mom, I call him my stepfather. He lived with us, and my little sister, was born through them. And he was military, and he was strict in regards to calisthenics, physical, and I gravitated toward it, and I enjoyed competing, and it lit the competitive fire in me, along with my older brothers, brother Norman, let him rest in peace, and my brother Mark is still with us. We used to compete a lot, and then when you're in elementary school and you do your physical fitness test and you have to do push-ups, they got tired of me doing push-ups. Stop! I'm tired of watching you, and do 100 push-ups like it was nothing. And then you run your 40 and it's the fastest. So we all were the fastest and the strongest in the school because of our upbringing.
Nice.
And when I got to high school, we started, freshman getting weights. And then I started lifting weights when I turned 13. And I was like, whoa, this is pretty good. This is fun. I like the way it makes you feel. And I've always been short. I've always been real small and fought a lot coming up, because of, guys try to pick on you and then they get embarrassed because they let this little dude beat them up. They never knew that I had a big brother. We used to battle every day, and
Right.
it was fun. I enjoyed the grind. I enjoyed that type of, I don't know, that environment. It was fun, and I think that's where I got my grit from. That's where I got
Good.
my grit. And So I put my pads on in my junior year in high school, and I was like, "Whoa, this is different." I remember guys, Cleveland came up and he hit me so hard. I was like, "I don't know if this is for me."
Was that the first day?
It was the first day of
Oh my
practice,
gosh.
and I shook it off, and I said, "Man, that guy can hit." They said, "Yeah." He said, "So one of my buddies, Delonius Keys, he was a really good football player, real good friend of mine too. And he said, what you need to do is you got to meet force with force."
Hmm.
I said, "Oh." So I tried next time. I said, "Oh, I see what you mean," because I just absorbed it, and oh my goodness. And from that point on, it was I became a pretty good tackler. I was always a pretty good tackler because I played a lot of like football. And then my senior year come around, I wasn't a starter. I never started in high school,
I
but I
mean,
did get
you came out so late too, right?
yeah, yeah, I was late bloomer, and I never was a starter, um, but I was a competitor. I wouldn't say an impact player, but I ran down special teams, made tackles. However, our last game against Lane Tech in the quarterfinals, and I didn't start that game, obviously, and the corner that was playing, he kept getting beat, and I'm looking at him saying, put me in, I see the route." So they ran a 10-yard out. They call it a 5 route now. He caught it. I hit him. They ran it again. I stepped in front of it and took it to the house for a touchdown.
Okay.
And I was like, "Whoa, that felt great." And then you got my big old head on the Sunday Sun Times paper. Ooh, but we lost the game, and
Okay.
that was the end of my high school career. But the love of the game was so rich in my heart. I didn't care where I played, so I walked on to my local junior college team,
Okay.
Thornton Community College, which is now, I believe, South Holland, and worked out there. And I was a safety in freshman year. They had some really good athletes there, and I was a starter. I worked my way into a starting position. My work ethic was above my competition. I kept leaning on that and kept studying the game. And then I saw a billboard of Lester Hayes in that Nike billboard where he's down low with his cage on, with just
Yeah.
looking like, ooh. I say, I'm gonna do that. And then I saw him play. I said, oh my God. So I fell in love with playing corner.
Okay.
I fell in love with playing cornerback, and I switched positions, and I didn't have technique. My technique was whoop your butt, beat you up. I was fast and strong and physical, and that's what I did. And then I became an All-American corner.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I was, pretty well recruited coming out of junior college.
So, what were
What?
some of the other schools that were looking at you that you
Yeah,
remember?
you had schools like Northern Iowa. I took my visit there. USC looked at me, but then they found out how tall I was, and they changed their mind. And that seemed to be like the going thing, right? Um, and then let me back up a little bit. After my freshman year, there was a movie by the name of Wildcats. They were filming in Chicago, and they were looking for um, doubles for the athletes. And in that movie, you had Wesley Snipes. Who else? Wow, just drew a blank. But yeah, Wesley Snipes. He was like the big time player. Woody Harrelson was in it. Michael T. Williamson, he was a quarterback. Obviously, Goldie Hawn, and you just had a lot of actors there. So we had a tryout that day, and we made a tryout. A lot of junior college players and players from other teams like Triton Junior College, and that's where I met my best friend, one of my best friends, because I already had a best friend, Ron Suggs. He was a receiver at Thornton with me, and then I met Fred Davis there,
Mm.
and our friendship and our bond has been as tight as it has been right now today.
So, all of you guys were in Chicago, or were
We're in
y'all at
Chicago.
the junior college?
We're in Chicago, and we're at different junior colleges.
Okay.
Fred was at Triton, which was a powerhouse JUCO. I was at Thornton. We won one game in 2 years. I was hurt, so I didn't win any games in junior college. Zero, none. So, make a long story short, Fred Davis was this unbelievable athlete. When I saw him, I was in awe of his presence and his
Now,
character.
now, wait a minute. So,
Mm-hmm.
Fred is what, 6'3", 6'4"?
Fred was 6'4", 4. Mm-hmm.
And you are
5'8" at the time.
5'8", really? So what did y'all look like walking down the street?
It didn't matter. His friendship, his character, he was just this dude that was loved by everybody.
He had a big personality.
And just I just felt always happy around this dude. So make a long story short, after they beat us, I did have a great game against their number one receiver. I think he caught one pass, a quick slant, and I kind of broke his ribs. And Coach Mike Emhoff, he was the DB coach at Tulane at the time. He came out and he said he was at Triton looking for DBs, and they already had a player on their team. They had Fred, and I think they had the receiver that I was going up against, and I did well against. And they said, "Yeah, you need to take a look at that McKinley kid over at Thornton." And Fred said, he said, "Didn't you guys beat them bad?" He said, "Yeah, but look at McKinley." So
Okay.
from that point on, he looked at me, Coach Imhoff did, and Fred was going there. So I said, "You know what? Okay, I can go. I can go there." I did my trip, and I have family from New Orleans. My
Great.
dad's from New Orleans. I got my cousins in New Orleans, and that made the transition a little easy to go away from home. So I owe Fred that. He'll never admit it, but I owe him that. He's the reason why I got looked at by Tulane. Other than that, I probably went to probably northern Iowa, um, northern Illinois, southern Illinois. You had some more one AA schools interested, but Tulane and USC I think were the two top as far as D1 powerhouse guys. And once USC noticed how small I was, they turned the page because they were 6 foot and above, and I understand, no love lost. And then I took my trip to Tulane, and
So what was that like? What was your recruiting trip like?
oh, it was fantastic. It wasn't what you see on the news and I mean on
What
TV and
year
all.
was it? What year was it?
It was 80, 86. No,
Okay.
85. 85.
85.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the winter of 85
What
or
did
the
you
winter
guys
of
do?
86.
Did y'all go to a classroom?
Um, we didn't go to the classroom. We
What
went
did
to
you
the
do on
mornings.
your recruiting trip?
Our recruiting trip, we just
Did
had
you
fun.
talk to Dr. Hill?
I talked to Dr. Hill. Absolutely. You know Dr. Hill's going to talk to us. Dr.
Okay.
Thomas Hill, the former Olympian. Love that
Yes.
man.
What was
Love
that
that
like
man.
talking to him?
That was interesting, especially for him to share his background with us, and that was pretty awesome. I was there with Marvin Allen. Him and I
Okay.
were on the same recruiting trip together, and that was pretty awesome. And you heard they took us to the Superdome, and Ken Berthelot do his little narration over the stadium. They got your number on there and your name. Yeah, they sold me. They didn't have to sell me too hard. And I met some of the players. I met Preston Washington and Eric Thomas, and I met quite a few guys. And obviously you're sizing them up because I'm like, okay, you're my competition, okay, all right, but no big deal. And there were some phenomenal athletes and just great dudes too. I think that was the biggest thing. A bunch of great dudes that we had on our team back then. A bunch of great dudes.
So you made it to, you made your decision. You came to Tulane. What was it
Mhm.
like when you first arrived on campus? Did you get there the summer before? About when did
Yeah,
you get
we
there?
came in. We came in the winter. We came into the winter of '86, right there when the Bears were beating up New England. And so, how did we get to Tulane? So we got to back up a little bit because remember, Fred Davis and I now we know each other. We're not best friends at the time, but we just know each other. We have a great deal of admiration for each other, our game as far as playing. And then our moms finally met, and then they said, okay, so how do they get into Tulane? So she said, Fred has a car, a Cutlass.
Okay.
So we packed up that Cutlass, met me at my house. Fred and our mothers, let them both rest in peace, put us in his Cutlass and sent us to New Orleans.
Wow.
So we driving on the freeway. So I'm
Y'all
not
had
a
a
big
map?
driver. Huh?
Did y'all
Yeah,
have
we
a
had a map.
map?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
we didn't have Google at all.
No, no. You had to have that little AAA trip,
The
just
map.
the paper map
Yes,
with the
indeed.
marker that marked your directions.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Fred and I, we made that trip there. So the thing that we made a pact with each other, and we said we're here on business. Um, we're going to do two things. We're going to make sure that we both graduate on time. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure we're going to stay out of serious trouble. You're going to get in trouble because you're in college, but nothing that's going to be detrimental to your future. So we wind up doing that. And then we looked at each other and said, and as far as playing time, well, you're going to have to manage that on your own.
Right.
So Fred came in there. He stepped right in, and he got a lot of reps. I didn't get one rep at corner my first year there. I was still developing, and not only that, I had some amazing guys in front of me. Eric Thomas, Kevin Tate, Preston Washington, Tyrus Allen, Thurston Harrison.
Oh my gosh.
Tookie Spann was over there. Doug
Did they
Adams came in.
did
Wow,
they
we had
help mentor you? Did they help like so was it helpful? Were they like, come on, or were they just battling? Was it
No,
competitive?
we were battling. We were battling. It was good competition, but it was a good brotherly bond. And fortunate for me, I was very competitive and you know really strong in the weight room, so I could compete there. So I had some leverage in that aspect, and I had trouble playing cover two, the technique. I just couldn't wrap my mind around holding the ground and getting a collision on a receiver. I just and Preston said, James, him and Eric Thomas say, dude, as much as you bench press, you should be pushing people way the heck out of there. So I was like, okay, so nope. And I said, I know I got something to work on. And but I did run down on special teams a lot, and it was a transition. It was tough that first season there, but transferring was nowhere in my mind.
Hmm.
Compete, figure it out, lock in, and tighten up your chin strap and your shoelaces. That's all I was thinking about. And number one, getting my grades, locking in academically, because there's no way I'm going back home to Chicago without my degree. It's just not going to happen. My focus was to make my mama proud and continue on with that. And I do that right now today. And we went, I think we went like 3-9. It was competitive, but
Was that Max Brown first year?
that was his second
Second
year
year?
there, second or third year, second year, yeah, second
So
year.
what
And
was cuz I remember the offense was like really getting high powered and
yeah, yeah. And it was amazing to see guys like Terrence Jones and Jerome McIntosh at quarterback. And the first time I've ever seen a quarterback throw a 10-yard out from the opposite hash on a rope, I was like, oh my God. Terrence, oh, I was in awe of Terrence when I first saw him. I was like, look at this dude. And then I saw Zeno. Like, really, dude? Oh my goodness. And then you had Maurice Nelson, just the whole receiver core. And Jerome McIntosh and Terrence Jones, they were pretty much right here. And Jerome was a lefty. And then I saw him come in and throw a play. I was like, what the heck is this? I was kind of like in awe of the whole situation. I got over it really quick, though. I got over it really quick, and um, I made some plays. In our spring game. We were practicing at the Saints facility in Marydere, and one of our spring practices, I got a interception, took it in for a touchdown, and the technique was wrong. Coach Imhoff gave me a minus on technique. I got a plus because I got to pick an interception, and I was like, okay, well, I don't know how to do it. I know I'm gonna work my butt off on it in the off season. That's what that's how that turned out. But I just continued to grind and stay locked in. And Fred, we were roommates and we check in on each other, making sure. And he could tell I was struggling. He said, "Keep grinding, keep grinding." I say, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna keep grinding." And and the guys, Terrence, I mean, Et and Preston and Thurston and Ta and Tyrus, Kevin Tate. Those guys they were good dudes. They wasn't, no, they were helping me out. They were, trying to help me out, help me get it, and I thank them for that.
so As you're going through whatever issues that you're having, you're talking to them. Did you have any coaches or anybody you felt comfortable enough with reaching out to and,
Yeah,
having
yeah.
discussions with, or that appeared to be like a mentor to you?
Not really, not really. I think those mentorship. I think Coach Imhoff was a really good guy. Let him rest in peace. He was a good defensive back coach. He used to get on me a lot because he recruited me and he had high expectations for me, and I was not reaching. I was not meeting that level of expectation, and he was kind of tough on me, deservingly so, deservingly so. I think Fred Roll, our strength and conditioning coach, was really good. He recognized my strength and my talent in the weight room, and he helped me to lean on that as a way to get some more confidence. And I was able to do that. And you had Coach Stylen Smith. He actually knew my family from New Orleans. He knew my
Okay.
uncle. He knew my cousin, and he said, "Hey, just stick with it. You're a good football player. You just got to learn it. You just got to learn it." So I took that to heart, and I listened to him. And Coach Brown was he was challenging. He knew how to push buttons. He knew how to push buttons, and rightfully so. And he pushed the right buttons on me.
Good. And so you're rushing, you're trying to get things done on the football field. How was that? How was it going in the classroom balancing football and getting your work done?
Yeah, yeah, that was another challenge. That was another challenge. Just walking to class, I was kind of you know shocked on at the way that we were looked at. We're back in the '80s, things have changed. We've come a long way. Obviously, we got a long way to go, but that was being a little different,
So,
being
what
in the
were some
classroom.
examples of how you felt being in the classroom at that time as a student athlete? Or,
Yeah, as a student athlete, there were times where when we would win, on occasions, they'll give you that star look, make you feel like you're somebody, special. And but then when we would lose, which was quite often back then, unfortunately, you get the ignore. Your same classmates, they act like they don't know you. And I took that. That was kind of different. I was like, whoa, okay, so I see what's going on now. You're either the ham or the hero. When you win, they love you. When you lose, they don't know you. So that was a beginning of understanding what the hard truth was. But academically, thank God for Dr. Hill and Phil Hughes with the athletic student life. That was fantastic. I went to study hall religiously, whether I had to or not. The support was phenomenal. The tutoring, I reached, hey, I even if I was at the above the level to not have to go to study hall, I was going anyway. Sunday through Thursday, I was there, and that helped me grind out and stay locked in and stay focused academically.
good, good. So, what were some of your highlights in college that you remember on the football field?
Okay. So you remember how I didn't get one rep at corner my first year there as a transfer junior college All American corner, not one rep. So off season come around, I have a obsessive personality as far as locking in on things and making sure I understand it 100 in and out, and not stopping until I get it to that point. So cover two was my Achilles heel. I couldn't get it. So what I did was I spent all my time working cover two when I was by myself in my dorm room at home after I work out. And I think I probably got about 1,000 reps by myself. And people think, you out there running around? Nope. I'm in my dorm room walking the footwork. Everything was a receiver, and I'm lining up 5 and 2. And he'll give me an outside release. I'll shuffle out and I'll open up. He'll give me an inside release. I'll shuffle in and I'll 45 out. And I just did that on both sides, both sides. I just got like 1,000 reps doing it. Spring ball come around, we go cover two, and I got it. I'm like, whoa, I got it. And then we had a coaching change in the secondary. Coach Imhoff left to go be, I believe, a head coach in high school. And We had Coach Vince Young, Vincent Hoke. I'm sorry, Vince Hoke. He came in, and I think he came in from Mississippi State. He was an old guy, and he used to play baseball for the Chicago Cubs. I was like, Cubs, baseball, football. So he really understood different players and different personalities and abilities based on your talent and your skill set that you have. And to me, he looked at me, he said one day, he used to call me Gar. He said, Gar, I got a question for you. And I got not a question, but I got a suggestion for you. And this is going to make your game shoot, and you're going to understand it. He said, see, when you play Mark Zeno, if I'm playing Mark Zeno, I'm going to sit at 20 yards. If you play Mark Zeno, you can play him in his face. You can sit at 5. You can be at 7. You can press him. Why? Because you have talent to do it. You just got to believe in it. And I said, oh, okay. And I believe it was that same day, around that same time, we go in the meeting room and you got all the defensive backs on the depth chart in the first column, right there. We say, Coach, why everybody in the first? He said, because everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, and ain't nobody making no plays. Nobody's getting beat, but nobody's doing nothing. I said, okay. So from that point on, I went out there and I did something. Interception. I think it was that first summer two-a-day session where the light bulb turned on. And I had a catchless morning practice. And I could feel my confidence just coming up. My confidence got to a point where it was way above my ability. And I was out there talking a lot of positive, encouraging stuff, being me, letting the defense and the offense, I told the offense, y'all not catching anything over here today. And then they started targeting me, Terrence and Zeno, Maurice Nelson. And I was just making play after play after play after play. After that practice, we go into our afternoon session. I go in there and I see my name. I'm the only one at the starting corner. Everybody else was below. And then on the other corner, you had all the other guys. Mitchell Price came too. And I told Preston, I said, he's not taking my spot. Because Mitchell was that dude. Mitchell Price was that dude for real. And unfortunately for Preston, he hurt his knee. And I don't know if that was a blessing in disguise for me, but I felt really bad for him to get hurt. He was my buddy with bookends. And Mitchell came in, and he was a tremendous athlete. And they moved him over to corner. And he was back there catching punts and did a phenomenal job returning punts. And we were able to work together, and we fed off each other's bookends. You had Tyrus Allen was another great DB for us. Thurston Harrison was anchoring that free safety spot. Tookie Spann was down that strong safety spot. You had Doug Adams coming in. Danny Michaels. Oh, my goodness. I forgot about Danny Michaels. How could I forget about Danny Michaels? And but yeah, that was pretty much a secondary. Oh yeah, you had Johnson, Kenneth Johnson. He's over there, got that restaurant out there now.
Right.
And Kenny, yeah. And we had a really good secondary, and I had that locked in and then I became a leader, and I just came out my shell, and my confidence was really high. Academically, I was on point to graduate, and we could back up to after spring ball. I have a memory of our exit interview for spring ball. It was with Mack Brown. He talked to all the players, and he asked me, he said, all right, coach. He said, all right, McKinley, what are your, for next year, your senior year, what are your personal goals and team goals? I say, okay. And this is before I got into the starting rotation. This is where I didn't know my cover two, and I had to learn it. I say, and looked him dead in the eye. I say, number one, I'm going to graduate on time. And I was still struggling, but I wasn't, I was still on time.
You
I
were there.
graduated.
You were there.
I
Yeah,
was
you
there.
were
I was there. And I say, and we're going to have a winning season, and I'm going to start all 12 games. And he looked at me. I say, and I'm starting all 12 games. We're going to have a winning season, and I'm graduating on time. Fast forward to a senior year, 12-game starter, winning season, and we go to the Independence Bowl, and I graduate in the winter of '88. Graduated high school in '84, so I got it in 4 years
Excellent.
and some months, right?
Yeah. What did you graduate in?
Sports administration, physical education. Yeah.
Excellent.
I tell a lot of people that, and I'm proud of my degree. And they say, "But what are you doing with it now?" I say, "Well, I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm coaching on the side, but my profession is in mortgage banking because I'm a firm believer in you get up in the morning to go do what you have to do to make a living, take care of your family, prepare for retirement. And what gets you up in the morning is your passion. Football is my passion. I've been in love with this game since I was 13 years old. Here I am looking at 60. Huh? 60? Yes, I'm looking there, but not
Yes,
so
you are.
fast. Not so fast. I feel great. So, yeah. And we went on to have a winning season, and it was special. I think that was special.
Definitely. What was it like playing in the Independence Bowl? You know, that was kind of your last game.
Yeah.
What was your excitement level like? I know you had a really great game.
Yeah, yeah. When we talk about the Independence Bowl, if we back up to the season, you talked about some good plays, good plays. First game starting against Louisville. We should have won that game. We lost, but I got defensive player of the game. Got an interception, fumble recovery. I just did my job. I didn't know I made defensive player of the game. I was just doing what was I was supposed to be doing. Stop them from making plays. I got player of the game against Ole Miss. Once again, interception, fumble recovery, good tackles, and just doing my job against a phenomenal opponent. Played well, against all the other games. I think out of I was a 7 or 8 game grade out, meaning played well enough to win in 8 of our games that we played. And then we play LSU, our final game of the season. We compete against that team, and we're competitive in the dome. Coach Brown say if we're competitive or if we win, we got an Independence Bowl bid. So I say okay. And leading up to that game, you get all the media all around, and I remember they tried to trap me and ask me, "Who's the best receiver you ever played against?" It's like, well, let's talk about this for a minute because I knew who we were about to face on the other side of the ball, and I knew who we had in our locker room, right? So I say, I tell you what, you got a number over there, number 82, and that purple and gold is freaking awesome. But I tell you what, we got this one guy with 11 on his back, and I think he's pretty awesome too. Mark Zeno is, I get to go up against that every day. But number 82 on the other side is quite an opponent. So I didn't let them trap me. I was very careful with my answer. But we went out there and had a good game, made some plays, we gave up a couple of touchdowns in the air, but when you look at it on film, it looked like I got beat. But we're in what we call 2-man. I remember that. And in that 2-man technique, you got underneath trail technique inside, and you got help over the top. Unfortunately, the way that offense rolled, our safety bit down and left me stranded by myself in a bad position. So he got two on me, but I made some good plays against him as well. And it was about a minute, 30 something left in the game, and we were up. And we gave up a first down. Was that Mike Riley? No, I don't know. I think it was. But Mike Riley was a phenomenal. He went on to play with the Jets. Phenomenal freshman. Forgot about Mike Riley. And he slipped and fell, and they caught a first down, and then they went on to score, and they went on to win the game. However, we played well enough. We were competitive. It was an exciting Tulane LSU game. I think one that goes down in the record books is one of the most exciting by far. It'd have been great if we'd have won, but we didn't. But then we got the bowl bid to go play in Shreveport. We played the University of Washington in that game, and around that time there was a lot of conversations about Coach Brown going to North Carolina, and he had to walk that tightrope, and I understand. I didn't hold anything against him for that. You got to do what you got to do. It was a step up. It was about your future, your career, and I was glad for him. Um, then we go in and we have a banquet. So at the banquet in Shreveport, and there's a lot of people there. And we're on the stage, and each position group, you go up there and you shake your opponent's hand and hand them the watch or I think it was like a ring or something. And I remember Brian Slater, tall, he was about, I think he's probably 6'5", 6'4", 6'5", and I'm 5'9". So we go up on the stage together, and they're laughing. I'm real sensitive, so my feelings hurt. I'm bubbling, I'm boiling, and we shake hands. They laugh. He looked down at me. He laughed, and I say, I didn't laugh. I didn't smile. I said, I'll see you tomorrow, man. Squares his hand. I walked off the stage. All my feelings all hurt, all on my shoulders. But that was who I was, and that's the way I am. But I've learned to work on that piece. So we go out, and we first play of the game. They went with I think a flea flicker, and they got me. But thank God for Mitchell Price. He covered my butt over the top and made the play. It was overthrown, and game started to go on, get a nice tackle down in the end zone, well down in the red zone, stop them from going in for a touchdown. Right at the half, they try to go with a fake kneel down, and we're sitting in cover three, and try to go to Brian Slater, and I stepped in front of him, got a pick. Little redemption there. Funny thing about it at the time, my girlfriend, who is my wife now, she's from California, and her whole family, it was a national televised game because it's a bowl game. So they're watching it at home, and it's the University of Washington, Pac-10, and she's in LA, and that's where she's from, Carson to be exact. And felt good to play well on national television, and my wife was there, and come out in the second half, get another pick, another big play. A lot of big plays. Had some fun, and
Yeah.
I did play with a slight little chip on my shoulder from the embarrassment at the banquet. But other than that, we had fun. I wish we'd have won. I thought our defense played extremely well. We played extremely well. Our offense couldn't get it going. I didn't, thought we could have played better, and they
Did Mac
uh,
Brown coach that game?
he coached that game. He coached that game. He coached that game. I know the offense. Wish they would have done a little better, but heck, they got us there. We rode their coattails a whole lot throughout the season. We kept giving up 30, 35 points. We were scored 36, 38. So yeah, we had a phenomenal offense, but um, University of Washington, they brought it, and you had Hall of Fame coach Don James. And I sit back and I talk to some of my kids I coach now and say, I've been on the field with some Hall of Fame coaches. Bobby Bowden at Florida State would coach. We play against those guys every year, and I played under Mack Brown. What an honor, and going against Don James and his Washington Huskies, and as you go through it, and as an athlete, you don't really think of it as being that big of a deal. Um,
Right.
in retrospect, and as I think about it now, I'm like, whoa, that was a pretty big deal. I think that was a pretty big deal. And so, um, yeah, I'm proud of it, and I'm proud of my career and my accomplishments at Tulane. And I got defensive, um, most valuable defense in that game against Ole Miss. I mean, against in the Independence Bowl.
Independence Bowl. That's
Yeah. And
cool.
the thing
So,
about
yeah.
that, the head of the Independence Bowl Commission said, McKinley, you need to go to Cleveland. I can get you in Cleveland. But I had an agent, and I was with the Saints, and they were local. I was young. I didn't know. I should have took that trip over to Cleveland. I didn't know. You're young. And the stars aren't in the line for me. God got me right here where I'm at right now, and did what I did. I did have the opportunity to, you know, be invited to their camp. I thought I did pretty well. Had fun. Met a lot of guys on the same field with the Dome Patrol. Ricky Jackson, Sam Mills, Vaughn Johnson. Who did I miss anybody? Yeah, Pat Swilling. Oh yeah, another
Right.
local Hall of Famer. Yeah, love those guys. And then you had Dave Waymer. Dave Waymer, let him rest in peace. He said, McKinley, come on over here. I want you to hang around me in camp. So I thank him for that. And we had a heck of a team out there. And back then, them boys could play some ball. They can play some ball now.
Yeah, that defense was really excellent.
Absolutely, yeah. And I shouldn't have went there. They didn't need me. They didn't. Why am I here? You don't need me. So should have went where I should have had the opportunity, and but no regrets. Not one single regret. A lot of great memories, and yeah, a lot of good stuff.
So, what was the transition like for you?
Good question. Good question. Transition from being a student athlete, being a football player, to a regular, I call it citizen, civilian, however you want to label it. It was quite challenging, quite challenging. But thank God I had a wonderful woman next to me to help me get through it. My wife Dominique, she's funny, never had a checkbook, checkbook, and she showed me how to balance a checkbook. Simple things like that. I didn't have a car. She showed me how to drive a stick. Um, Amongst a lot of things, she helped me become the man I am today. And that transition, yeah, and getting a job, she helped me how to write a resume, you know, and to, believe in myself, believe in me. And then you had ex teammates that were there prior to me getting there. Darnell Benoit, you remember him?
Vaguely.
I had a conversation with him as I had transitioned, and I told him about my situation. I asked, so how are you dealing with it? He said, man, I'm gonna tell you. Here's how it works. You get a job, you're gonna have expenses. You got income and you got expenses. My income is here. Here are my expenses. Me and my girl, we do this, 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 and we pay off our bills. That's it. He put it simple. I said, thank you. And I took that approach. And it helped. And income, expenses. That's life. It's simple. And get a job. Nobody owes you anything, not one red penny. Leverage your Tulane degree, leverage your athletic experience, open your mouth and talk to people, and continue to grow and learn, and be uncomfortable, and hurry up and get uncomfortable so you can be comfortable again, and however that goes. And go and interview, go and fail, go and strive, and go and be successful. And the thing that I always tell a lot of guys that are in our position is we have an edge on the majority of the working force out here. And what is that? Being a student athlete, playing sports at a very high level, competing. Why? Because when you get out in the work world, what you got to do? You got to compete. And you're going to come across a lot of smart people. A lot of smart people. I work with a lot of smart people. But the one thing that I have, I'm a competitor. I have a drive. If I don't get it, I don't understand it, I'm studying it. And that's what I'm doing for homework. Yes, I'm in my profession. Yes, I'm still doing homework. Why? I have to succeed. I have to compete. I have to win at work. I have to win at everything I do. And that's a blessing and a curse. I'm a competitor. I love to compete, and I don't like to lose. But when I do, I learn. It's a learning experience more than really just a loss. But I compete, and I get looked over at work, and that's okay. That's okay. I've gotten looked over as a player. How do you handle that? How do you handle that? Look in the mirror and figure out, okay, what am I doing wrong? First thing I do when I'm failing, look in the mirror, and that helps me. And that's my advice to the young guys coming out. Um, Leverage your Tulane degree, leverage your athletic experience, and get in the work world, and go and compete some more, and enjoy competing, and enjoy competing.
So, how do you define your personal success and or legacy?
Good question. Good question. I define my personal success. Number one is God fearing, love God. I think I'm a great husband. I think I'm a great husband.
Well, let's ask the wife about that.
Okay, 35 years, I must be doing something right. She's still with me.
That is great. That is great.
um, I think I'm a great father. Father of four. Got three grandkids. I think I'm a great employee. I think I'm a great neighbor. I respect people. I live on two pillars: respect and communication. If you're not respecting me, okay, good. I don't have to deal with you no more. If you
Right.
respecting, I'm the first one to reach out my hand. I'm the first one to reach out my hand when I meet somebody. I'm a communicator. I want to talk. I want to know what's going on. I'm gonna listen to you. I want to listen. I want to hear your side, even if we disagree. Why? I want to see your 360. There's 360 degrees in everything. I want to see your perspective, and I want to learn from it. I know that's a lot, but I think my success is being a good family man. And how can I provide for my family through my athletic experience to hold down my career, bring in income, and I'm still able to do my passion every day. Go out, play football. On Sundays, when the season's not here, I think some people think I'm a little different, but I ride my skateboard over to the park, put my cleats on, run my 1,000 yards, do my DB drills. It's about a good 45-minute workout. And I take that same attitude and I share it with the kids I'm coaching, and they look at me like I'm different and say, no, I'm just passionate about what I do. And I want to make sure that when I'm coaching you properly so that you can have success and you can continue on with your journey and your career and you can have success.
You got to send me a video of you doing your little workout.
I have kids come out, they join me, and
You got to send me a clip of that, at least 10 seconds.
10-second clip. That's
Yeah,
funny.
I need a
I
10-second clip of that.
I get the kids that live in the neighborhood and they see me out there and they say, Coach, can we play? I say, yeah, but you got to give me my 1,000 yards. Anybody show up, you got to do the 1,000 yards. It's just 10 hundreds. And you can
Right.
split that thing up however you want. And I ran track at Tulane as well. So it's a combination of a track workout and football. And that's what I used when I was trying to stay in shape and chasing my dream. I had my workout with the Raiders as well. In and out of a lot of camps. I did a lot of camps. And I used that to stay in shape. Yeah. And for the record, I think my senior year, I was pound for pound the strongest player at Tulane.
Probably.
So if you're
Between you
sitting
and
there,
Preston, between you and Preston.
and that was my competition.
Right.
I love that dude.
Exactly.
I love that dude. Being 5'8", 172, bench pressing 420, squatting 550
Oh
with a
my
320
God.
power clean. I ran a 439 and I had a 33.5-inch vertical. So I was packing something in that little, mighty body of mine. But, it's just the work. Put the work in. Go grinding. Everybody's blessed with something, right?
Right.
Everybody is blessed with some special qualities, and I think my physical strength and my physical ability was mine, and my height wasn't. My speed was okay, but my strength was something that I could leverage and help give me confidence. And I always tell people, find out what you're good at and foster it and leverage it and continue to build on it because that's where you're going to pull your confidence from. When you play with your confidence here, you're doing things that are way above your ability. Firm believer of that, and I'm an example of it.
Yeah. So, what are some of your thoughts about NIL? I know they didn't have that back when you were playing.
Well, name, image, and likeness. Good question. Good question. Um, well, I wouldn't have got any money then because my name wasn't no nothing. I've still been waiting for my $5 after the game to buy me a burger
Oh my
from
gosh.
rallies. But I think there's a place. I think once they understand it and they get it under control, I think it'll be okay. And it has, I'm not an expert in that area. I'm not. I'm gonna be first, and I'm okay with not knowing why, because it's not really impacting me right now. If it's impacting me or somebody I know, then obviously I'll dive into a little more detail. But good for them. Good for them if they get money. I've always been an advocate for athletes should get some laundry money,
Right.
and I'm not talking about thousands of dollars. And when I say laundry money, I say that because there were times where I didn't have clean clothes. I had to sneak it in my football bag to get them clean. What?
Wow.
You couldn't work. My mom wasn't rich,
Exactly.
single mom, and but when I say laundry money, I'm like, what, $100, $200 a month or a week or something? I don't know, just to do laundry, and get a burger or a pizza at night, especially during the season, you can't work, you're getting hungry. But good for these guys that's getting that money. Good for them. But I'm a big opponent of don't chase the money, chase the dream. The money is the byproduct. That's going to come.
Right.
So yeah, once I think there's a lot of work to be done with that NIL, and like I said, I'm not an expert in that area, and I don't pretend to be. Good for them.
So the kids that you're coaching, what age group have you been coaching?
Right now, it's junior college. They're from the ages of I got what 18 to 26. I got some
Wow.
men. I love this. I love this level because I don't have to really deal with the parents,
Okay.
and
So
we can.
do they hop in and out of the transfer portal? Can they get in the
No,
portal?
no, we get them. We get some from the portal who get stuck in the portal. They don't. They want to play. They don't have anywhere to go, so they sign with us, and we give them that
Gotcha. So
opportunity to
so the
continue on.
transfer portal impacts you in terms of there's players that need somewhere to go.
Yeah, yeah. And then it hinders us as well because we got players that need to go somewhere and they can't because there's a log jam in the portal and it's causing what our freshman class coming out of high school. A lot of guys getting overlooked. Like I said, we had a camp today and we had a lot of great guys out, and they're just still waiting. And I got guys right now that I've coached, and they're they have their AA in hand, their associate's degrees in hand. They have great film against high quality junior college teams. We played New Mexico Military, we played Snow College, and they balled out against those high level. And those two teams, they battle for the junior college national championship. They're in contention every year. So, when you go up against that type of talent, you see where you are. And they do well. And all right, that's on your film. You got your degree. All right, let's go. And they're still, waiting for their opportunity. You got a lot of interest right now. And I think once the portal closes or everybody finish, running through it, then when the dust settles, then they'll get somewhere. But yeah, it's a double-edged sword. Double-edged sword.
It changes the game a little bit, huh?
A lot, a lot. And like I had mentioned earlier, I know back then, if I'm coming out and you're All American corner and you wind up at Tulane and you're not getting any reps your first year, what do? You jump in the portal. I would have a hard problem with that. I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna win this because the thing about it is, you're gonna be who you are wherever you go.
Right.
Might as well tighten that chin strap up and compete. That's just my approach to it. So
The younger generation thinks a little differently.
I know.
All right, just some quick questions for you.
Hmm.
You rather bike or hike?
I bike. I like to bike.
Book smarts or street smarts?
I'm a combo, and the reason why I say that is number one, the street smarts. I'm from Southside Chicago. The book smarts. I graduated from Tulane University. Hello. So it's a combo.
Would you rather score or defend?
I'm gonna defend and then I'm gonna score because I've defended well.
Pick
But I like
seven.
defense.
Pick seven.
I know, right?
Work or work out?
At my age now, I would like to just go to work, but I have an addiction because it's my therapy. It's therapeutic at this point in my life. I'm not at the gym. I haven't been to the gym in probably, I don't know, 5, 6 years. Drop down, do about 700 push-ups, go do my track workout, do a couple of hundred squats with nothing, some pull-ups, just body stuff, just to keep the ticker going as we get older. We got to keep that heart going. I still like to eat. I like to drink. I like to enjoy myself, lounge around and do nothing. But the best shape I've been in is when I was a player. So I try to continue to do a lot of those things that I did when I was a player so I can continue to enjoy eating and drinking and lounging.
Do you ever get the opportunity to spend time with any of your former teammates? And what's it like when you guys get together?
Yeah, yeah. Fred now, we talk all the time. So I'm not going to include him into that piece because we always talking. He's sending me a text. He calling me up. I'm calling him. Hey, man, what are you doing? So, stuff like that. I talk to a lot of the guys. It's great. It's great. It's a wonderful feeling to reminisce and to just check on them and see how they're doing. It's really great to hear, their successes after the game and their family, their kids. Um, Not last season, but the season prior when Tulane went to the Cotton Bowl. Um, Mike Arata, he's awesome. Mike Arata. I can't say enough good stuff about Mike.
What was Mike like on the team as a teammate? What was he like?
You know, to be honest with you, I remember him, but he was ahead of me. I was
Okay.
after him. He was a senior, and I was coming in. I would see him now and then, here and there. He was always cool and cordial. He was always a good dude. I didn't know him like I knew, like a
What
dugout.
position did he play?
He was a defensive back.
Okay.
He was a DB. I didn't know him like I knew the rest of the guys, but afterwards I recognized him, saying, Then I saw him in a movie. I was like, I know him. I started going, and then we connected. And once we connected, he started coming. We follow each other on X Twitter right now. I consider him a dear friend, and he's always there. He helped organize us to come out to Larry Rout's Hall of Fame induction. I thought was fantastic. It was an honor to do that, to be there. I reached out to Fred. I said, Fred, I know you're you don't travel. I'll talk to your dad, and we'll work it out. I'll meet you in New Orleans. He said, No, no, you're going to be in New Orleans. We're going to do this. So I invited him out, and then my buddy from um, from Thornton, a receiver, we used to go at it a lot. Ron Suggs, he's another dear friend of mine, and showed up, and we saw you there, saw
Yes.
everybody, and that was awesome. And they won, and it felt awesome. It felt special. I felt appreciated. Um, I felt loved from the program. Um, to be able to just experience, how they treated us, kind of like roll out the red carpet when we show up. I appreciate that. Had a wonderful opportunity after the walkthrough to speak to the DBs. Um, that was my second time. One time we went there for my father's funeral about 23 years ago. And I was able to have a conversation with the DBs, but not in that setting. I saw them at Bruff Commons, and I had a good conversation with them. But that was more of a formal or informal, formal setting because it was right after the walkthrough, and you had all the guys walking off. And I just said, "Hey, DBs, let's go, let's talk. Let me share some love with you and give you a perspective. I'm not going to lecture you, just going to share my experience a little bit. Only needs about three
Right.
to 5 minutes of your time. Take it or leave it, but I want the best for you. And by the way, you guys are my little brothers. You're my little brothers, whether you want to believe it or not." And I just left them with a couple of nuggets. My main thing was don't leave here with regret. Embrace every step you take on this campus and do something special while you're on this team. Do something special. Just don't come to practice and don't show up to play. No, make it special. Um, and we did that. I'm proud of our success in '87. I'm really proud of that. And to be an impact player during that time period, I'm proud of that. And look up in Yeoman Stadium and see 1987 Independence Bowl plaque up there. I can point right there and say, yeah, I helped put that up there, and I was most valuable defensive player of that game. I can say that and share that with my family and my kids. I can look over in my game room and see the trophy. Yeah, it's important to me. I'm proud of it.
That's good. Couple of more
Okay,
questions. What are some of the things your teachers used to say about you when you were in elementary school on your report card?
slow down.
Slow down.
Boy got so much dang on energy. He won't stop. Martin Magpie. I was talking.
Oh my gosh. What
Um,
what's a TV show you used to watch when you were in college?
oh, you got Video Soul, Donnie Simpson.
Video Soul with Donnie Simpson.
Video Soul with Donnie Simpson. Absolutely.
BET.
BET, and the Transformers cartoon. We were the Transformers. That was our alter ego when we stepped on the field. When it was time for the defense to get on the field, it was Transformers, let's roll out. And that was kind of a motto that we said on the field Transformers, let's roll out. And we'll go out there and go do what we got to do. Yeah, we would give up 35, but we'll play well enough to win, though.
That's what was important.
We play well enough to win.
If your life was a movie, what would it be called?
Oh man, good question. Good question. I think it would be called um, "A Love Story" by Dominique and James McKinley.
No,
Yeah,
that is awesome.
it truly is a love story, and um, I can't talk enough about my wife and what she means to me. And throughout this whole time when I first met her and how we met, it was at Xavier. They was having a back to school, and you got Andre Lockley and Fred
Oh my
Davis
gosh.
compete against who introduced. And I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone because I love them both. And
What?
Lockley will say, "Come on now, donkey." He'll call me donkey. Yeah, everybody had nicknames.
Yes, yes. Most of us do. What makes you laugh the most?
Oh wow, oh wow. Just goofy humor, goofy comedy. Um, Nothing too serious. I don't like to see people hurt themselves. I don't like to laugh at other people's failures. Just intentional comedy, good comedy. I'm watching a movie now. Right now, it's on Amazon Prime. It's called The Layovers or the Holdovers.
The holdovers.
I'm over here cracking up. It's on freeze frame right now. It's a funny movie. I like that type of comedy. And I also, I like Kevin Hart. Bernie Mac, big Bernie Mac fan. Steve Harvey, all those guys. Yeah, I like good comedy. But yeah, going to comedy stores, comedy shops. My wife, we attend those a lot.
Okay. And would you rather go back in time and meet your ancestors or go forward in time and meet your descendants?
Descendants. I'm a forward type of dude, and
You
I
want to see
thank
what's
them.
going on down the line?
Yep. I thank them for everything they did. I live in the present and I look to the future. The past, yeah, I know we reminisce about the good stuff, and sometimes the bad stuff come on, and I have to shake it off because there's some bad stuff back there I want to keep. I always bring the good stuff forward, But yeah, I like to see what my descendants look like, how they're
Okay.
managing, and what impact they're having on the world. Yeah, hopefully that have some of my energy and some of my philosophies in life having a positive impact.
Is there something that you want to cover that we didn't touch on, or any stories that you might have wanted to put out there that we didn't get to?
Wow, there's a lot. There's a lot. I think we spent a lot of time here. Um, I tell you what, guys that I miss. I miss Tookie Span. I miss him. I miss Jay Rink. Um, I miss a lot of the guys that aren't with us right now that we played together. That's another reason why I hang on to a lot of these guys and I talk to them. Yeah, yeah. I leave it right there.
You want to leave it right there? Okay, well, great talking to you today, James.
Yeah,
Great just spending time with you, really. This has
absolutely.
been fun.
Yes,
And again, we want to put our stories out there, um, start talking about, our experiences, because I think
absolutely.
it will definitely have an impact on, the kids that are coming through now, the young
Yes,
men and
yes,
women that are
yes,
coming through now.
yes.
Um, Something to
Absolutely,
reach out for. I love
absolutely.
that you are in the financial industry.
Right.
Just, I need to make some money.
Hey, you gotta go get it.
Gotta go
And
get it.
it's not always fun. You gotta lock in, and you gotta learn. You gotta study. You gotta go and compete. You know, Nobody owes us anything. Let's go get it. Let's go.
Well, good. Well, I'm so excited to have spoken to you, and tell your wife she is an angel
Yes,
and we
she is.
love her.
Yes.
You
Oh, let
love
me
her, so
see.
we
Can I get
love
a
her too.
picture up there? There we go. There we go. That's on
You
our
have
30th anniversary. We're on a cruise.
okay.
Yeah, we're on a cruise, and yeah, we took a picture on our 30th anniversary. So that was pretty cool. What was that? The Royal Caribbean Symphony
Okay.
of the Sea.
Wait, y'all have a good one.
Roll Greenway Roll. Thank you
Roll.
guys.
Alrighty.
See
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.